Hey, good evening, everybody. So, um, if you remember, tonight's homework is over wind and air masses. Remember when we did we, the tube with the red water and the blue water, and then we did the heating and cooling lab, and then the air masses that we did with the ice and the hot water. Okay, y'all remember all that? Good. Okay, so with wind, this is moving air that's caused by the uneven heating of the Earth's surface. Okay, remember in the lab when we were doing the heating versus cooling lab, you remember that that dirt, remember? It got hot and it cooled down really, really fast. Remember that? And then you noticed in the water beaker, it got hot really, really slow, and then it also cooled down really, really slow, right? Okay, so that night air and that hot air in the morning, which is caused by anybody know? It's caused by the sun, right? We have our sun, and that does the heating and the cooling, right? Actually, it does the heating, and then when it goes down, everything cools off. Okay, so caused by the sun. Okay, so our wind is blowing because of that uneven heating. Oops, uneven heating. Okay, now let's look at page 36 in our journals. Not in our journals, in your study guide. Okay, let's look at these pictures. Okay, remember this is page 36. Okay, we have our land over here and our water over here. Remember, the land warms up fast, but it also cools down fast. The water, on the other hand, warms up slower, and it also cools down slower. So in the daytime, our land is hot. Okay, so that hot air is going to rise and rise and rise, and the higher it gets up in the air, the cooler it gets, right? So the higher it gets up here, the cooler it's going to get, and it's going to start to get heavy, right? It's going to float over here to this water, and then it's going to drop, right? Good job. So, but then when it drops, it cools down and cools down, right? And so then we have this wind that goes across the water onto the land. Okay, does that make sense? So these hot air molecules are getting hotter and hotter, and they're raising up, raising up, raising up. They're floating in the air, and then they get over that water and they cool down, and then they cool down, right? And then as they move across the land and the water, we have wind. Then at night, when the sun goes down, remember we were talking about land cools off really fast and water cools off really slow. So then we have the reverse going on. Okay? We have that water that's heating up, heating up, heating up, right? It's still hot, so those molecules are still getting hot, and they're raising up into the air, right? Raising up into the air, and then they're floating around. But then when they get over that land, those molecules start getting cool, so they're slowing down, right? And they're dropping. So then that cool air is making wind across the land onto the water. Okay? So it's all heating, uneven heating of the Earth's surface over the land and the water. Okay? Oh, let me leave that. Don't forget to pause this page so you can get this written into your science study guide. Okay? Make sure this gets written in there. I'll be checking it. Okay. So, wind. Page 36 in your study guide. It's that moving air caused by the uneven heating of the Earth's particles. And that heating is coming from the sun. So then when the sun goes down, we're going to have the cooling happening, right? Good job. So, an air mass. An air mass is a large bubble of air, large bubble of air it's a large bubble of air that has the same characteristics. Okay? And remember blowing on that cup over there? Okay? That's what I'm talking about. And they cover miles or kilometers of Earth at a time. Okay? Now, they have very specific characteristics. Okay? Those characteristics are temperature and humidity. Now, if you remember from the weather homework, humidity is that moisture in the air. Okay? Now, 4 types of air masses. Okay? We have cold and dry. This is actually my favorite. And then we have cold and moist. Okay, so this is going to be a low temperature. Both of these are going to be low temperature, but their humidity is going to be different. So the dry is going to be low humidity. Oops, I'm running out of room. And this is going to be high. I'm running out of room, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, and then we're going to have warm and dry. And warm and wet. So this is going to be a high temperature. Both of them are going to be high temperatures. And then low humidity. And then high humidity. Okay, sorry I ran out of room. I lost track of my paper. Now remember, these cold areas are going to be at the north and close to the north and south poles. These warm areas are going to be near the equator. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so wind. Moving air caused by uneven heating of the Earth's surface. That heating is caused by the sun, so it cools down in the evening. Land heats up faster, also cools down faster. Okay? Then we have air masses. Those air masses are a large bubble of air that have the same characteristics. Those characteristics are temperature and humidity. These air masses cover miles of land. Okay? We have 4 types: cold and dry, cold and moist. Don't forget this over here is talking about humidity, right? Okay? These cold places are going to be near our South Pole and North Pole, and these warm places are going to be near our equator. Okay? Don't forget to write in your study guide the movement of wind. So if you move this back just a couple of screens, you'll be able to see that. And if y'all have any questions, leave them on the video. I hope you guys have a great evening. See y'all tomorrow.